Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I was gonna make this part a montage, but I decided that I want to talk to you guys instead. How are you guys? For the one people to two that watch, say in the chat, in the comments, what you want to watch. Actually, I have very exciting news that I'm gonna talk to you guys about. Period, Holy Spirit. So basically, I am starting a podcast. It's gonna be in the summer, I think. But basically, so you guys know I posted one video and it was called Let's Talk About It, and it was supposed to be a series. Basically, that is not going to be a series on YouTube anymore. It is now going to be a podcast on Spotify. And it's not going to be one of those, you know how people do podcasts and they also like record and then they can post that on YouTube as well. It's not going to be that. It's strictly just going to be on YouTube. On Spotify. And it is just so very exciting. I'm already so excited because the Lord has been speaking to me so much and giving me so much peace about this. And I'm gonna tell you guys what happened. So basically, I was just like thinking about it. It was like so random. And because I had just had a really good conversation with a friend, and something I say a lot is like, no one talks about this, and that's why like the series is called Let's Talk About It. And so basically what happened, I was driving home after I had a talk with someone, and I was just thinking about it, and all of a sudden I felt God say it's time. And I knew exactly what he's talking about, the podcast. And I was like, what? Like, it's time? Because it's something that the Lord has been speaking to me about for a while. And before he was like, not yet, you still need to grow. Like, and it was just for podcasts in general. I wasn't thinking like the Let's Talk About It. It was just in general. And what's it called? He just said like it's time or whatever. And I was like, wait, really? Like, because before, I felt Lord saying, you still need to grow. Like, I felt like a sponge, and I was just soaking up so much information in that season. And I felt him say like, you still need to grow. But then the Lord was like, it's time. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so I got to my apartment and I was just like praying and stuff like that, and everything just started making so much sense. Like, I felt like I always look at life as a puzzle, and I felt like I got another piece because God has a big picture. I don't have the big picture, God does. And I felt like I got another piece. And so I just so much stuff started making sense in my head, and I was like, I see it, God, like I see it and stuff. And it's so Let's Talk About It. It's going to be a podcast now. And he said, let your creativity flow. And I'm like, okay, God, like, period, right? So then God was like, the reason it has to be a podcast, why this can't be a YouTube like channel thing, is because he was like, I need my people to be focused more on what you're saying rather than how you look. And I was like, wow, like that makes so much sense, which is why it's not going to be something for now, unless it says like in the future maybe, but for when I started right now, like in the summer, it needs to be something where people are more focused on what I'm saying rather than how I look. Because, I was going to look good, regardless. But I need people to be focused on what you're saying. And, I get insecure, especially talking in front of a camera, because I'm not even going to talk about it because I'm, like, really insecure. Like, my, my, like, tongue moves weird. Like, it's kind of like a lisp, like a small one. I used to go to speech therapy as a kid, and so I don't know what it is, like, to be honest. But yeah, I'm like really insecure about talking in front of camera, but I still do it because God is good. But anyways, in the podcast, I just need to be focused on saying what God says. And I felt God saying, like, this is his channel, like, not my, like, I'm just a vessel that he's using. I'm literally just a vessel, but it's God's, for the podcast. And I'm just so excited. And literally after, I felt so much peace, like so much peace. Like I've had a peace beyond understanding before earlier this year. But I felt so much peace. I was laying in bed. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm floating? Like, I literally feel like I'm floating. Like, I felt so much peace. Like, I literally felt like I was floating, right? So, mind you, God's so good. Mind you, 2 days before, one of my friends, he just gave me a podcast. He was like, you want a podcast, Mike? I was like, yeah. Like, yeah. Y'all know these are expensive, right? And, oh, God, it's so good. Because literally, guys, God knows what we need before we even ask for it. God knows what we need. I didn't even have to pray for that. I mean, it's something before, like, I'm like, oh, I want a podcast mic, like, da-da-da-da-da, but it wasn't time for me to have a podcast mic at that time. But then I felt God say, like, what's it called? Well, first, he gave me the podcast mic, and I just took it because I was like, I'll need it eventually. 2 days later, God speaking to me about the podcast, right? So I'm literally in my bed. I'm like, why do I feel like I'm floating? Like, I've never felt so much peace. I felt so much peace, like just peace beyond understanding. And that's biblical. I felt peace beyond understanding. And I'm like, I feel like I'm floating, right? So then the next day comes and I texted my friend and I'm like, thank you so much for that podcast, for the podcast mic. Like, you have no idea how deep that was. Like, God's like really moved. So I was talking about like the podcast, right? And so I'm listening to this podcast. It's about Christian burnout, which is so what I needed, because that's what I was starting to feel. Which I think I'm going to do podcasts about that as well. But I had it on my playlist to watch like for a while, and I just like, I hadn't yet. So yesterday I was like, I feel like watching this today or listening to this today. So I'm listening to the podcast, right? Sorry. I'm listening to the podcast, and I texted my friend. And I'm like, oh yeah, thank you so much for the mic, like da-da-da-da-da. And then all of a sudden I was like, yeah, like I felt so much peace yesterday. I literally felt like I was floating. Kid you not. I'm going to put a screenshot of the text I sent. Like 1 minute later, like I don't even know how many seconds later it was. All of a sudden the podcast, she starts talking about peace. She's like, yeah, like I felt this peace beyond understanding. I literally felt like I was floating.
And I remember this peace that surpasses all understanding rested over me. I mean, to this day, I've never experienced a peace like that. I felt like I was floating.
And when I tell you I started screaming, not like that. I was just like, yo. No one was in the car. I'm like, yo. I started crying because I'm like, I just felt so much confirmation. I felt so much confirmation. And sorry, I'm filming. I felt like just like so much this is my roommate Yanni I felt so much confirmation. I just felt God being like, yes, like, then my girl Shantia, she's a prophet on YouTube, and like literally her videos just always resonates with me so much. And there's always seasons where I'm like, this video was for me, like da 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 da. So that would happen like all the time. So then yesterday I'm like, you know what, let me see what she posted. The day before she had posted, she said, don't rush, just flow, right? So isn't that interesting? Because God had said, let your creativity flow. And she was talking about how, like, when God gives you an idea, like, don't rush. And she was talking about all this stuff, how, like, it's so easy for us, like, when God tells us something to rush it right away. But then she was like, that compromises your obedience sometimes. And it was just everything I needed. Like, I was like, I was already like, I'm not going to rush into this. Like, I'm going to be so very careful with this podcast and everything. And I'm like, I'm going to be, really obedient, because I just want to be used as a vessel, to help bring lost souls to Christ. And so, like, I literally got like 4 or 5 confirmations about this podcast. It's crazy the way that like God moves, and like the way when God is like, this is from me. Something I learned is that anytime God tells me something, he confirms it. I don't have to question. When God tells me something, he confirms it one way or another. So one day when I do a podcast about like how to hear the voice of God, for me specifically, God is gonna confirm it. So anyways, I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm gonna finish getting ready, and then just for Okay guys, so I'm now at my school's, I don't mind the camera quality, I'm using an SE, but we are content. We're trying to be. But anyways, I can't have a productive day. Let me turn up this brightness a little bit. I can't have a productive day without God. This is my little sketchbook. It's very much broken, but I still love it because these are where I do all my devotions. And I just love making notes look cute. Like, this is really about to be gold one day. But anyways, something that I love doing is little Bible study dates with my friends. I like doing it. I can't wait to do it with my future husband one day. But anyways, we had planned this at the beginning of the week that we were going to do a Bible study date today, and I thought it was going to be nice outside. So I was thinking, something I've very much been into is hammocking. I just love the peace. I love the vibes of hammocking. But hammocking, it is not nice outside. It's literally snowing and raining right now, which is giving very much Illinois. I'm not that shocked. But it's just like, are you for real? Like, let's talk about it, because Illinois for real needs a counselor. It's giving very much bipolar weather. Anyways, I got Starbucks. Yeah, so it's gonna be good. Gonna be just vibes. We're just gonna, the Bible study I like doing with my friends is I just like that we're all in each other's presence with God, but we each do our own Bible study, because I like doing my own. I like spending my own intimate time with God, but I like enjoying, with the company of friends. So we each do our own, and then we just share at the end, like, what we learned. So that's what we're about to do. So I'll show you guys the room I'm in right now and the vibes. Like, I brought the speaker. Usually we each have our own headphones, but then Danny was like, I was the charger for my headphones. Can you just play music out loud? So I'm gonna play some jazz music with the rain background noise. I'm gonna just show you guys the vibes. Bye. We were supposed to start at 1, black folk. And it's 1:16. But I'm not even gonna say anything because I literally got here like 1:08. But it's gonna be funny to see what time everyone comes. But yeah, it's 1:16. Y'all, this is actually so aesthetic because it's literally raining outside. I wish it was a little bit darker, but we got the jazz and the rain playing on the speaker. We got, let me show you. It's giving ready to study. This is what it looks like around. And honestly, someone came by and that's so awkward. But I'm about to study because I'm ready to dig in and spend time with God. Just because, y'all, I've been in so much peace lately. Like, literally, I feel so much peace in my life right now. Like, I can't even explain it. Like, God just is so good. Like, you guys really just don't understand how good God is. And He is. Love how it shut off when I said God was being good. Like, stop playing with me. Anyways, God is so good. And I'm excited to spend time with Him. I just love God. I really just, I love Him so much. Like, I love God so much. Like, love you. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna start. 1:28 p.m. Danny's the first one to get here. Period. 1:29 p.m. Kayla gets here now. What? Said 1:29 p.m. Kayla's the second person to get here. Hey. Guys, that was just so refreshing and just so what I needed. We literally were there for like a really long time. It's 3:28 now. It was just so nice, and literally sitting there, I'm like, this is a prayer request lived out. I'm living the answer to my prayer request. And it's like, I remember in the summer praying for Christian. I remember in the summer praying for diverse Christian friends who were not weird. But being honest, that's what my prayer request was. And it's like, I'm literally living that out. And it's like, it's just so amazing. Our conversation was just so real. And what I actually was studying was the pull-out method in the Bible. Like, not that I'm doing it, but I'm studying what it says about it. Because it's in the Bible and people ignore that. And it's like, it's so real. And it's like, I'm going to talk about that in my podcast because no one wants to talk about this stuff, but I will. I literally will. And it's like, we just had such an honest conversation about how sex is so glorified in our generation. And it's just like, it was just so refreshing just to be with girls in our generation who seek God, who are not compromised by this world. And it's just so encouraging. And so, yes, I'm still going to have a productive day, and I will continue this vlog. I just had to share that. But yes.